Monday morning, everyone. It is a rainy Monday where I am, but it's not so cold, so it's fantastic. You guys know me, Amy, here with Sandy and Russell, and our guest today is Rebecca. So everyone say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Woo! Good Monday morning.
Yay.
Are we excited about the week? I am really.
I'm excited. After what I've heard that Amy was in the hospital last week, I'm just glad to see her so happy and healthy.
I'm glad to see her on Author Talk. I mean, I was just like not really expecting her to be able to be on Author Talk this morning. So, Amy,
Once I got out, I was good. Once I got out and I come home and I shower and I slept for 9 hours, I was good.
Well,
now, did you tell? I hope the doctor told Josh not to make you so mad that you have to go to the hospital anymore.
Hopefully.
Has someone talked to Josh?
He
Do I
wasn't
need to
even
call
home.
Josh?
No, he wasn't even home, so it wasn't because of Josh this time.
I have to tell you, Sue and I were worried. Sue, after you went home, Sue and I were texting back and forth, and then I text you to see how you were doing. You didn't respond, and then I waited a little while, and again, and Sue and I were like, okay, she's not even responding to text. I'm
Well,
like,
she was a little busy, Mom.
she was asleep. That was the day she slept for 9 hours. And so I was glad you slept. I've told Sue I'm not going to call her. I'm just going to text. When she sees it, she'll respond. So anyway, you have Sue and I. We'll both be worried for you. So Bola, you have help with the worrying. So Sue and I'll be right there with you. And so yay. Anyway, we're glad you're here, Amy.
No, thanks.
And you found out you're moving to College Station. Can we talk about that?
Well, somewhere around there. I might be, yeah. So I got admitted into the hospital Thursday night, and my husband had a job interview Friday morning that I made him go to. Well,
Awesome.
he left the job interview with a job offer, so I could potentially be moving after our baby to Bryan, Texas, but I'm close enough to still come to Indie Palooza and Author Talk events and stuff. So
Plus, you'll be closer to your mother and father.
I'll be about an hour closer to my mom. So everyone's super excited. So it's
especially considering some of the possibilities, because he was being interviewed with companies that were in Ohio and Romania.
I'm a little disappointed he didn't get the Romanian job myself.
I am quite thrilled that did not happen.
I know you are.
I'm quite thrilled that did not happen. So yay, Amy. So yay, we're so glad you're here with us this morning. Our guest today is Rebeca Eigen. And Rebecca, how are you on this Monday morning? Is it raining where you are?
No, it's actually sunny. And I started a spring detox yesterday, so I haven't eaten for 24 hours, and I'm not going to eat for 2 more days.
That sounds like a bad life decision me too.
That's my spring detox I do every spring, and
it sounds like a fast.
The first 3 days is a fast, and then the next 2 weeks is a soup, berries, and miso, and just different things that detox you. And I do it every spring because in November and December, I eat too much sugar and I gain 10 pounds every year. And so
yeah. If you can tell me I'll lose 10 pounds, I'll do it too.
You can lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
The trouble is the next 2 weeks keeping it off.
Well, after that, your stomach is shrunk and you're just not eating the same. You just stop eating all that sugar and you get back to normal.
Rebecca you eat
every holiday.
You eat pretty healthy most of the time anyway, though, right, Rebecca?
I do, but every Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving, I drink a lot of wine and I eat a lot of sugar and I gain 10 pounds. I mean, like that. It's just incredible how fast.
Now, does this detox diet you have also exclude bourbon?
No sugar, no booze. My girlfriend.
I guess I'm not going to do that.
My friend Sharon said, how boring.
I know, right?
Yeah, but
I agree with your friend Sharon, and you should listen to her.
Well, I need to lose this 10 pounds so I can wear my clothes again.
I understand that.
Well, it is Monday morning, and we always talk a little bit about what we did all weekend, so we kind of got a gist of what Rebecca did all weekend. Starved.
Just yesterday.
Just yesterday.
I just started yesterday.
And we
know what Amy did.
She was in the hospital. I can tell you what I did all weekend was work, because I had some things going on that I really needed to work on, and so I worked most of the weekend.
Which one of your authors were you especially working on? Do you have a?
I had several. I have Lori Golden. We're getting her website up and running this week, and I reviewed some stuff going on her website. Dave Westfall, it's Valentine's Day, and his work that he does as a wedding expert.
I know, and it's so contrarian too, so I love it.
I know. So I helped with the pitch, and we've been pitching him all weekend. Judith was very active and involved. She helped with the pitch as well. So worked for his stuff, and then my Darla, the roller derby queen, worked on her. I mean, I was just going from one client to another, but I had a list. Plus, I had some bookkeeping kind of work that I had to do and finish up this weekend. So it was a working weekend for me, but it feels good to have gotten a lot done and moving around, because I was standing for a while and then I'd go sit down. So it was a good weekend, good productive weekend for me.
And you missed having dinner last night.
I did. So my Vietnamese daughter-in-law waited until my son got home. He was on a trip all week to celebrate Chinese Vietnamese New Year. And
it's the year of the pig.
It's a great year. And they went to Kim's son over in Bel Air last night for dinner. We didn't go, David was on call. And they got there in time to see the dragon dance, which is the pictures that you're showing there. So they loved it. She sent me a video of the dragon dance at the restaurant. So that was
the year of the pig scene.
It's the pig is prosperous. It's prosperity. Okay. It's a great year. It's where Josh is getting his first job after school, and you're having a baby. It's a year of a pig.
Year. Maybe
your baby will always be the year of the pig. Okay. It's a good year.
Okay. So Denise said, did anyone say bacon? Did she hear someone say bacon?
I know, right? It's all good.
Good. Bacon sounds good.
You are so funny. I love Denise. She is funny all the time. I love her. Denise is our co-chair or co-head of the Houston Writers House. She and Rebecca Nolan have that, and it's a great group of authors.
Oh, they are.
Mm-hmm. Amy and I spoke there and did our
Matrix in the Millennial Time.
A few weeks ago. So that was fun. So anyway, so great weekend then. Everybody had a good weekend. So
and Amy is fine now. Would you before we get started, this is the beginning of a big start of your webinar for the whole year. Would you let us explain that?
I will. So actually last week I started this teaching on how to get in magazines, and that I've got a couple more weeks to go on that. That's a lot of fun. It's something I've done in the past, and updating it and getting all that information. And then Sue and I were talking this week. Sue's been really wanting to get her books in audio.
She needs to.
She does.
Because she has so many. It's time.
She has many, and she has more to come. And fiction books are popular in audio. And as a matter of fact, I did some research over the weekend for the email I sent out this morning. And the number of audio books being purchased is going up, especially in the young professional world. 1 out of every 10 millennials or young professionals reads 2 to 5 audiobooks or listens to 2 to 5 audiobooks per week.
Wow.
That's true. Joshua listens to audiobooks on his way to and from school.
Especially if you commute any distance.
And my wife does 150 books a year.
See?
Wow. That's impressive.
It is. Now, I've always done the ebooks, and I've always been a proponent of ebooks because I love holding a book and reading. I really do. I'm old fashioned. I like holding the book in my hand, smelling it. I love smelling a newly published book. However, when you travel on a trip, to take even more than one or two books is absolutely, has become impossible for me.
It's improper packing.
It is, because it's heavy. Books are heavy. And so I've learned to use my Kindle and my Kindle app for all books. I probably have 450 or 500 books on my Kindle app. So they're stored somewhere on Amazon, and I read them as I download them. So that's my favorite. However, the favorite is becoming audiobooks. So when I spoke at the author marketing event in Dallas this summer, there was a lady there who spoke on audiobooks. Her name is Kimberly Rothschild, and I'm probably not saying her last name right at all. She will be with us tonight. I met her, I heard her presentation. I was going to see if I could see what her name again, how it looks like it's pronounced. But anyway, Kimberly, and her website is imhearingstories.com.
Interesting.
So if you go to her website, I am with no apostrophe, hearingstories.com, you'll see. I love it that it's her and her son that have this business. She and her son started, and she is right now teaching a whole course on how to do your own audiobooks. So she invited me to be part of that course to listen and see exactly, in case I wanted to do that for clients. I think I would rather hire her myself than to learn how to do it. However,
good, then that's what we'll do.
But I want to hear it first. I want to hear all that she has to say first. But one of the things she'll be talking about tonight is, if you're going to do your own audiobooks, there's certain equipment that is necessary, because you want to make sure, even if you're not doing the reading, if you get somebody to read for you, and let's say Russell had someone to read for him and they came over or they got together.
Yes, because we both know that I can never read my own books. No one wants to listen to this voice for a whole book.
Yeah, well, nobody would want to listen to my voice. I listen to my voice after these calls and I'm like, I should stop this. This voice does not need to be heard. However, I'm not. So I'm past that. So if you have a book at all, if you're ever planning to write a book, you may want to go directly to audiobooks, because sometimes speaking the book is easier than writing it. So you could speak your book, and this is one of the things that Red O'Loughlin does, is he helps people who speak their book and then he puts it into a printed or an ebook format. So it's a great way to write a book. It's just
I would like to interview Red about that.
Okay.
That sounds interesting.
We'll have to have him back on again then. Red, are you watching? If you are, then let me know when you're available. We'll have you back again. Red's a very interesting person, and his topics are so relevant for today. Aging, longevity, the joy of longevity, the joy of aging is one of his books. And I think that's the one that's coming out this month. He's got quite a few books out. I've known Red for 10, 15 years, and he's always been doing something with speaking, and it's always been health and wellness. So Red, we want to talk to you about your publishing, because one of the things we're talking about is actually doing an anthology in our Through the Eyes of Authors, and let Red help us publish it.
Now let's get back to your webinar.
Tonight, Through the Eyes. What would I do without Russell to keep me on target? Through the Eyes of Authors. That's how you join us tonight. Go to throughtheeyesofauthors.com. You do have to join. All you do is pay $1. And that dollar gives you 1 month to attend any Monday night or any Friday at noon mastermind. It also gives you access to go in the community, see what all we're doing, go to the private Facebook group. You have access to everything we do in that community. And Through the Eyes of Authors was designed to be a community for authors. So you have a community to help you, support you, be your book launch team, do reviews, all the things that authors rely on someone to help them with. We do. And for $1, you can join for a month. And then at the end of that month, if you're like, this is not for me, then cancel your membership before you're charged the $47, which is what it is per month on a regular basis. So join us tonight. Would love to have you. Tonight will be, again, Kimberly Rothschild, and she will be talking about how to create an audiobook. How can you do your own audiobooks? So join us tonight. And I'm going to close the door to my office so you don't hear all my dogs barking.
Okay, so while she's doing that, we can put up Rebecca's book.
Hey, so Rebecca, you and I met at a networking event for OTC, what, about 3 or 4 years ago?
Yes, we were in a restaurant bar, right?
Right. There was like it was over in the Galleria.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it was a bar, but it had booths, people, the sponsors were there. It was a happy hour after OTC. I went there, Brian Bearden was there, and we were standing around talking. And then Rebecca reached out to me a week or two later, and we got to know each other. That's when I went to her house to visit her. She's always fed me lunch every time I've gone. She makes a great salad. So it was fun. And so Rebecca, tell us about how you wrote Shadow Dance. First of all, what is Shadow Dance? And then what had you write this book?
The shadow is a concept of Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychiatrist. And if you don't know much about him, he is the person who came up with introvert and extrovert and complex theory. And the shadow is one of his concepts. And so our shadow is everything about us that's hidden from us. It's unconscious, it's repressed, it's denied. And so what I do when I'm teaching a class or something, I always ask people, have you ever met anybody you can't stand? Raise your hand. And have you ever fallen madly in love? Raise your hand. And everybody does. So say hello to your shadow. Our shadow is what's behind us, just like our physical shadow. So we don't know about it. So we are missing that part of us. So we go looking for it, and we find people who either annoy us, push our buttons. It starts repeating like, wow, that's happened to me before. What does that mean? Or we fall in love with the same person at 30, at 40, at 50. And we're like, I'm the common denominator here. What's going on? And so I started studying Jung's theories in the 80s and went to the Jung Center then and took many, many, many classes with Pittman McGehee. Have you heard of him, Russell?
No, but do you still go to the Jung Center?
Oh, yes.
I usually go about once a month.
Yeah, I go a couple times, maybe a couple times a month. And anyway, I started going to classes there with Pittman and learned about this part of us that we would rather not be. We'd rather somebody else be it. So an example of that would be like when you're married and you polarize with people, you're one extreme, they're the other extreme, and you're trying to get them to be more like you, and they're doing the same, and you actually both need to come to the middle, which is what my graphic on my book is about. It's about bringing that shadow into the front and coming to the middle with that person so that you can see that part of you that got projected onto them, because we all do what's called projection, which is a psychological mechanism. It's an unconscious thing that we do. We don't go around saying, I'm going to project today. It just happens automatically. And
I think I may occasionally decide to project.
Well, that's a different term. This is the psychological. There are two ways to project. So at any rate, through projection, we unconsciously put parts of ourselves that are hidden from us on other people. And so my book is about helping you understand what are the different ways we do that. How do you bring those back? And then I have a chapter on our parents and our partners, because we tend to marry our parents, and the one that we didn't like the most is the one that we usually marry. And we start trying to resolve that issue with them. So that's another chapter in my book. And that chapter also goes into the anima and animus, which he considered to be our masculine and feminine inside of us. Whether we're male or female, we all have the contrasexual image inside of us. And I go into explaining that. And then
wait a second. I got to ask, Amy, who is Josh? Did you marry your mother or your father?
I don't
Who
know.
is Josh?
I guess he's more like my dad. He's really calm. My
I
dad's
think,
calm.
would you say that most women have a tendency to marry their dads?
She said most people.
I mean, but I'm talking about women marrying their dad, not their mom. I mean, does it work?
I married my mom.
Really? Okay.
You married your mom?
I did. My mom was very quiet.
I don't think I married anybody I knew.
I definitely didn't marry my mom, but so all of that's very interesting. And in your book, Rebecca, you talk about that's what you talk about, relationships, right? And her book is called The Shadow Dance. So what does that mean? You explain the shadow. Now, what is the dance?
Well, the dance is that you need somebody else to do this work. You can't do it alone. You know, you have to have a mirror, and that's the Venus symbol in astrology is like a mirror that you're holding up. So we're attracted to a mirror of ourselves. And this is something that's going on whether we know it or not. It's just part of who we are archetypally. We archetypally all have a need for wholeness. And that wholeness is usually through seeing it outside of us first.
So are you saying that we are only whole when we get a part from someone else, or can we be whole within ourselves, just us?
We are not, nobody is whole. We are actually working on it. That's part of the human experience, is that we are looking for ourselves, or we're finding pieces of ourselves that are missing in other people by somebody you can't stand. I mean,
so
that's
Rebecca,
one clue.
And Rebecca, you have a webinar coming up soon.
Yeah. What's going on with that?
Teaching some of these principles of Jungianism, right?
I do. I go through all the different ways to recognize your shadow, exercise about your parents, what you liked about them, what you didn't like about them, how you have those in you, that you have to integrate those. I go through exercises with them on their astrology, because our astrological blueprint, the time, place, and date of birth, shows me by looking at the seventh house. The seventh house is the marriage house. So the name of my book is The Shadow Dance and the Astrological Seventh House Workbook. And it's a workbook. I mean, you have to do the pen and paper work. When you have an archetype in your seventh house, you have to learn how to share that with a person. And the first thing you're going to do is project it. First, you're going to be fascinated by it when you meet somebody that carries a part of you that you don't know about. And that's what this is about. It's about learning that that's you. That's a part of you that you actually need to integrate. And they're showing you a mirror.
Can I ask a question, Rebecca?
Yes.
How do you market? Because we talk about that. How do you market your book and your webinar on social media?
I just started really marketing myself maybe 6 months ago. I just joined the.
Then what's your plan?
I use Pinterest. I am going to start doing YouTube videos. I did a Facebook series that was 15 videos, but I was learning technology, so they were really messy. But I finally gotten the technology and the lighting and the this and the that done. So I'm going to start doing videos. I'm going to start doing more Pinterest. I'm going to do more live presentations. I'm calling different radio places, astrological groups, Jungian groups. I have friends in New York that teach at the Young Center. And so different people are starting to reach out to me. I'm on the phone all day long. So I understand Sandy. She's just like so busy. I can't even imagine your life.
My life is busy, but it's fun because I love doing it. And I love it. And I'm glad you said that, Russell, because I was just going to say to you, Rebecca, because of the marketing, and I know you want to speak, and I helped her for a few months reach out, and we sent her information to quite a few people. So why should someone buy your book? That's the first thing in marketing is what makes your book unique, and why should I buy it?
Because people have repeating patterns in relationships that are hurtful and they don't understand them. And so they will come to me because they they'll Google the word shadow and find my website. So I've done readings for people from Australia, from all over the place, that actually call me because they're hurting. And then they start reading my articles. There's lots of articles, there's videos, there's talks I've given. And there's a lot of Carl Jung's information on my website. I have a lot of quotes by Carl Jung, several articles I've written, and a vocabulary, a Jungian vocabulary that's on there. The most important thing is that people are hurting, and my book helps them to understand, why is this happening? What does it mean?
So if I was not familiar with Jung, which I'm not, and I know more about it now since I've met you, obviously, and I were searching, I wouldn't probably know to search for shadow, right? I mean, that's a Jungian part of his philosophy, his teachings. So what might I search for that I would find you in your book as far as being a help to me? What could I be looking for that I would find you?
Repeating patterns in relationships.
Okay.
A lot of people actually have heard the term shadow, and it's becoming a buzzword. I mean, it's starting to come out more and more. I learned about it in the 90s, and I was like astounded. Like, why don't people know about this? Why do only therapists know about
Rebecca, people say it, but people aren't. What we hear people talking about is not what the shadow is that you're referring to. They don't understand that. They just think it's some dark place that they can look into.
I do think, so what you said about repeating relationships,
mm-hmm.
I totally get that. I mean, in my life and in my different family members, I can see that we all kind of go back to the same type of person that we were with before, whether it's in marriage or, friends or whatever. We seem to have repeating patterns in our choices.
We do.
So do we just say, okay, I need to make different choices?
No, what we have to do is embrace our opposites. That's what Jung was all about, was for us to see our opposite in another person and embrace that part of us. We need that part.
Oh, dear God, does that mean that David is part of me?
Yes.
No, that's why you love me so much.
I do.
I'll give you just a brief story.
I had to embrace David. That's what I heard in that whole thing.
Now, I just feel sorry for David out of that. Like I always say, poor David.
Oh,
no,
my
I don't
God.
feel sorry for Josh that much.
I know. I don't understand.
Because Josh is getting what he deserved.
Oh, so is David.
No, David is an innocent victim.
A lot of people end up divorced. Like I'm doing a consultation this week for a woman who is going through a divorce. So a lot of people go through divorces and then they are at a place where they're open to learning more about themselves.
Well, that's because, as Jung said, you reach a higher level of understanding of your own subconscious through crises,
Absolutely.
Not through personal intellectual decision making.
Exactly. So the majority of people are hurting. That's, my book is written to help alleviate the suffering. If I knew then when I was getting divorced what I know now, it would have been different. but I learned a lot of things, that relationships are a spiritual, they're actually leading you back spiritually to yourself.
So Rebecca, when is your webinar?
The next one will be February 25th.
Okay. And where will it be? How can someone listening this morning join you for your webinar if they're interested in knowing more about this whole philosophy, the dance, the shadow, relationships, repeating relationships? How can they find you?
Well, this is online. I'm doing an online webinar. I'm using Zoom just like y'all are. And I have extensive slides, and I send everybody a booklet so that they can actually write in before the seminar starts. I also send them their astrological chart and a report by Liz Green, the world's most famous astrologer. It's like a 30-page report about your
but how can they find you? How can they find out about it? So how can they sign up for it or know what it is?
Well, right now I have a list of 1,200 people on my email list. So I'm going to send out the newsletter, the e-newsletter.
I know, but the people that are listening right now to Author Talk, if they want
my website is shadowdance.com. It's on the homepage, front and center, to click on a link for the shadow webinar coming up.
And can they go ahead and register now for it?
They can register now. It's through PayPal.
So how much does it cost? I didn't realize there was a fee for it. So how much does it cost?
The cost is $250, and it is 6 weeks, 2 hours a week. The person will get a detailed description of what's the archetypes that are in their marriage house. They will get a Liz Green report, which is a 30-page psychological analysis report, which is incredibly accurate.
So is all of this on the website, everything they'll get? Okay, because we're running out of time. I just want to make sure they know how to get everything. So your website again is?
shadowdance.com.
So if you're interested at all in knowing how to stop repeating patterns in relationship, or how to understand you, or how to get involved in this whole thing about the shadow, then go to shadowdance.com. Excuse me. And
God bless you.
Thank you. Register for the webinar. Excuse me. See everything you're going to get. Sorry, Rebecca. So go there right now and find out all that you need to know. And then, Rebecca, how could they get in touch with you?
Through my phone number, it's 281-799-2900. And that's obviously that's on my website as well.
Okay, good. I was going to ask, is that on your website?
Yes.
And what is your email address?
Rebeca Eigen at shadowdance.com, and Rebecca only has one C.
Yeah, I know. It took me a while to figure that one out. I could never find you. Then I'm like, oh, she only has one C in her name. So
my mom did that.
So it is time. So thank you, Rebecca. We loved having you on. And Rebecca and I worked together some over the last few months, and I wanted to make sure she had a chance to introduce herself to everyone. Also, I know that you're great friends with Marianne Fairmouth, and she was telling me how much she loves the work you do in astrology, because not only is she an author and a web designer, and Amy, she's an expert at Wix. So all of her websites and everything are done in Wix, and she loves that technology. Amy also does websites in Wix, so she did several of our clients' websites. So, Russell, any last words from you?
I am so glad that we had Rebecca on today, because a fellow reader of Jung is someone I'm always ready to come up and visit with. So thank you, Rebecca, for being on today.
You're welcome. You would enjoy my book.
I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm going to put it up again as we end.
My book is on Kindle, on Amazon.
Is it an audiobook? Do you have an audiobook yet?
No, and that, somebody else was telling me about preparing an audiobook of it.
So you should join us tonight. We'd love to have you. Okay, good.
Definitely be there tonight.
So here's her book, The Shadow Dance and the Astrological Seventh House, Marriage, Partnership, and Open Enemies, The Shadow in Us All. It is a workbook. So you can get that on Amazon Kindle. You can get it from her website, shadowdance.com. So, Amy, any last words from you before we hit the road for the week.
No, I'm glad I could make it. And Rebecca, thank you for joining us today. I'm just fascinated. I'll have to read your book for sure. But,
Amy, please have a calmer week.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yes, I felt better the moment I got out of the hospital and I came home and slept. I mean, that's what I needed. So
it was, you needed some rest. So does the doctor think you're going to have these kind of episodes again or what?
No, it was just my heart was racing. Like,
but what caused it to start racing though?
Oh, I don't know.
Josh didn't do what he was told.
He didn't listen to me. He needs to learn.
Right.
So.
Yes, especially telling we don't want to make trips to the hospital.
No, we don't.
Okay, so Rebecca, again, thank you. Anyone interested in her webinar, go to shadowdance.com if you want to get in touch with her. She is an astrologist and a web designer, so all kind of reasons to go check out her website. So Rebecca, we look forward to seeing you tonight in the training tonight.
Nice to meet you, Russell.
Have fun in Paris.
So have a great week, everyone.
Okay, thank you.